The Jaguars own the 5th overall pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, and join me and the entire Frisco sports team live from the Jags Draft Party with in-depth analysis.
The Farrah and Farrah NFL Draft Special, April 24th at 7 p.m. streaming on First Coast News Plus.
Happy Sunday, everybody. Chris Porter here in San Antonio, Texas, home of now the men's national championship game on Monday night. Yes, we are getting ready for a prime time game as the Florida Gators will take on the Houston Cougars in the national championship game on Monday. Tip-off is set for 8:50. Before we get to that, let me tell you where we are. We are at Civic Park, and right now they're having a watch party. The ladies have a national championship game that is set to tip off in a minute. Now, let me show you around a little. To my right, or to Charles's right screen, which the game, if you're coming out to Civic Park, as the Gamecocks will take on the Connecticut Huskies. If you could go to your right, Shazi, and show that big board over there. You really can't see it because it's behind this big tree, but I can promise you it's over there. Don Staley and the Gamecocks taking on Gino Auriemma and the UConn Huskies. The Gamecocks looking for their 4th national championship under Don Staley, while Gino Auriemma and the Huskies are looking for their 12th national championship. This game should be GOOD good. Don Staley saying this week that she's sick of hearing about Paige Beckers. What about our Gamecocks? We'll talk more about that later, but let's bring in my main man. Before we bring in my main man, let's show you what happened last night. Walter Clayton Jr. went off for the Gators, 34 points, scoring 30 or more points for the first time in back-to-back games, the Elite Eight and the Final Four, since Larry Bird did it way back in 1979. You've heard me say this so many times about this guy. Absolutely sensational, absolutely clutch. All he does is make big shots, and some of the shots that he took and made, absolutely spectacular. He looked like a magician out there. It was wonderful. More than 50,000 fans at the Alamo Dome. Watch him do his thing as the Gators knocked off the Auburn Tigers for the 2nd time this year, 79-73. Here's what the Gators had to say after the game.
Me personally, I just let the game come to me. I know I got a bunch of other guys around me who are threats also. You know, if you try to double me, you know, like Tommy hit that 3 in the first half, kind of loosened up their defense a little bit. They kind of went away from me. So just, you know, just reading, reacting to the defense, you know, I knowing I got weapons around me.
Man, I feel like everybody sees it. I mean, he's poised, calm and collected, and confident in himself. And we have that confidence in him. We see him practice. We see his work ethic. So we're glad that everybody else is getting to see him do it in the game.
My players and my staff have just done an incredible job all year with their preparation and their approach on a daily basis. And obviously a great accomplishment for our program to make it here to the Final Four. But the heart and just toughness, both physically and mentally, that these guys showed today was incredible.
And obviously, when asked last night, the Gator players were, give me one word to describe Walter Clayton Jr., and everyone on the podium said one word, and it was special. Joining me now is a guy who's really talented, who's super special, and very knowledgeable when it comes to the Florida Gators. He is Locked On host Brandon Olson, a guy who I spent a lot of time with over the last couple of weeks. Brandon, so good to see you. Brandon, your Gators are in the national championship game, and what a performance last night by Walter Clayton Jr.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, he's special. You could also use the word inevitable to describe him because he's going to get his. You can't stop him. Auburn threw everything and the kitchen sink at him. But, hey, when you have the best team in college basketball, you win games.
Brandon, you made it clear before the announcement of the AP National Player of the Year award was announced. It is Cooper Flagg, that you believe that Walter Clayton Jr. was what should be the National Player of the Year. 1, your reaction to Cooper winning it, and then 2, your thoughts on it not being Walter Clayton Jr.
Yeah, I mean, hey, look, I get it with Coop. I do. I mean, led his team in points, rebounds, assists, blocks, steals, all led them to the Final Four, all as a freshman. I get it. I don't hate it. And as for Walt getting snubbed, we'll say, I think that if you asked Walter Clayton Jr., he'd say, you know what, I'll take a ring over Player of the Year. And hopefully they'll be able to do that on Monday.
Incredible story. I was talking to my colleague, Shaz Barani, and he pointed something out to me that Walter Clayton Jr. originally was a football guy.
Yeah, he was a receiver and safety, was getting way more heavily recruited as a football player. But ultimately, he decided, I think it was his junior year, where he kind of just figured, you know what? Like, I love basketball more. And, hey, hell of a decision. If we're going to be honest about it, it was a great decision for him. But yeah, he decided that he loved basketball more, and so he went to Iona, like small school, worked his way up, got back to Gainesville, was deciding between following Rick Pitino to St. John's or coming to Gainesville, ultimately made a fantastic decision, and now has a chance to etch his name. Honestly, he's already etched his name in Florida Gators history and is potentially the greatest Florida Gators basketball player of all time. I think he might have done that, first team All-American, the first time Florida's ever had that, leading them to the national championship. I mean, if he wins it, he is unequivocally the best Florida Gators basketball player of all time.
No doubt about it. Walter Clayton Jr. is must-see TV, and he's a guy that I would pay to watch him play. Let's talk about last night's game. It went back and forth in the first half. Auburn had the momentum going into halftime. They were up by 8. They looked like they were in control of the ball game, but once again, Todd Golden's bunch, they found a way to make it happen in the second half, and your guy, Clayton Jr., he played a big role in that.
Yeah, I mean, he just went off. They did everything they possibly could to stop him, and it just wasn't happening. And it's not even like he scored 34 just because he was chucking up. I mean, it looked like he was chucking up shots, but he was making his shots. It's not like he had 34 on 34 shot attempts. He was just going out there playing Walter Clayton Jr. basketball, and that's a very good brand of basketball to be playing. And you just can't stop him at certain points. Ruben Chinyelu had the best second half of his life. Best half of basketball of his life, if we're being completely honest about it, in Florida. Look, they beat Auburn in the regular season, and when I kept bringing that game up, I kept getting the response of, okay, well, that was 2 months ago. Well, 2 months later, Florida did it again at a neutral site. So Florida, they just did it. They were the better basketball team than Auburn. There's no other way to describe it. And this team, they go out there, they win games, they score a lot of points, and their defense is underrated. We've said that all season, and it's just being proven game in, game out.
They have proven it game in and game out, and because of the work that they've done lately, even though they were down by 8 at the half, for some reason with this team, I never feel like they're out of a ball game.
Yeah, when you're the best. I mean, they are maybe not the best shooting team in terms of three-point percentage, but they are the best shooting team in terms of how well they shoot from three and how often they shoot from three. They were a team that you can never count them. I mean, they were down 10 with 4 minutes left against Texas Tech, came back and won largely because of their shooting. Against Auburn, they went, all right, well, we shot decently in the first half. We're going to shoot better in the second half. We're going to attack the paint better in the second half. And they just went out and they played Florida Gators basketball. Florida Gators basketball is winning basketball at this point. It's national championship basketball.
Todd Golden is a guy that I've told you I've developed this affection for. Really been paying close attention to him, SEC tournament, and now in the NCAA tournament. And the one thing that I like about him, he does not hide his emotions. He's a fiery guy. He's a very intense guy. At the start of this NCAA tournament, he said the goal was to win the national championship. What do you make of his personality and his style of coaching?
I think it's perfect to fit with the Florida Gators culture. He's a very analytically oriented coach. Chuck a lot of threes, get points around the paint or points around the basket, get our offensive rebounds, win the turnover battle, win the free throw battle. Very analytically oriented, very young coach still. He's got energy, and Florida's a place where, as many people paying attention to this will know, Florida's a place where you got to have a little bit of attitude. You got to have a little bit of moxie, a little bit of character there. And Todd Golden has all of that. Todd Golden brings that to the table. He helps set the tone. And even Alex Condon said it after the game. Someone asked him, hey, what changed at halftime? And he's like, well, it was more of them cursing us out and less of them giving us a heart-to-heart right now. Like, you need a fire lit under you sometimes. And Florida can do that, and Todd Golden can absolutely do that. I heard that he let it fly during the halftime speech.
Good stuff, good stuff. one of the highlights besides Walter Clayton Jr. was that dunk by Elijah Martin when he rose up and threw it down. Everyone in the Alamo Dome, I knew I was not alone, were oohing and ahhing. Your take on the dunk?
He terrifies me. He takes off from so far every time, and I just think there's no way he's gonna even reach the rim at this point. But he goes out there, he does it, and we've spoken about him a lot. I mean, before the tournament, I said, hey, I think he's gonna be my X factor for this team, and he just makes those big impact plays where it feels like once a game, late in the game, Florida goes on a run. And in that run, there's an Elijah Martin fast break dunk, and he just slams it down so emphatically that sure it's 2 points, but it feels like a lot. It feels like a giant momentum changer, and I think that he does that consistently. He's just a pleasure to watch, and in transition, he's a menace.
You know, it's so easy when you're watching this Florida Gators team to get caught up in the rapture of what I'm calling Walter Clayton Jr. because he's always making big threes. He can create his own shot. Other than him, during this both SEC tourney run and NCAA tourney run up to this point, who else has impressed you?
I've been very impressed with what Ruben Chinyulu's done lately. Alex Condon is someone that's been very frustrating for me. I've been very open about that, but Ruben Chinyulu has stepped up. Thomas Houck, I mean, America's sixth man out there. He does so much. He's 6'9", and I think that they're being generous with that listing. He is not an incredible athlete. He is not someone that's like, yeah, he's 6'9", but he's got a 7'4" wingspan, but he's out there doing battle in the paint and the post. He's out there doing battle on the boards. He hit clutch three after clutch three. The Texas Tech game, he shot 4 for 6 from three. He's a 33% shooter from three this season. And he went 4 for 6 in a huge time with back-to-back threes. I think Thomas Houck's been a guy that has really separated himself and elevated himself during this tournament.
Let's talk about the other side of the Final Four. You had Duke taking on Houston at one point. The Blue Devils led the Cougars by 14 points in the second half. I thought at that point the Cougars didn't have a shot. They rallied from behind. Your take on what you saw from the Cougars coming back and winning that game last night?
I think there were two moments where I thought the game might be over. When Cooper Flagg hit that three, which ended up being, if I'm not mistaken, their only field goal made in the final 10 minutes because they were outscored 25-9 in the final 10 minutes of the game. It was the Cooper Flagg three I thought might have been the dagger, and it was the the technical foul on the inbound for swiping at the inbounder and making contact there. Those two plays, I kind of thought it was over. But Houston just incredible fight, forced a lot of difficult shots, played very good defense without fouling. They're a great team. I think that people are very much overlooking Houston because they see the low scores in the box score and they go, oh, they're not a good offensive team. That's just a lie. It's as simple as that. I mean, they shoot 40% from three. I couldn't do that on wide open layups at the park, if we're being honest out there. I think that they're just a fantastic team, and you don't have the heart to fight back like that if you're not a legit national championship contender. And Houston deserves all the respect they want. We've spoken about, not going to have any of the Cinderellas. This may suck. You're watching quality basketball. You're watching 4 of the top 10 Ken Palm teams of all time. Now you're watching 2 of the top 10 Ken Palm teams of all time going at it for the national championship. You may not have the Cinderella storyline, but this is elite basketball at its finest.
You know, for the first time since 2008, we watch all number 1 seeds go head-to-head in the men's NCAA tournament, and I was so glad that all of the games have been fantastic because the last thing you want is a blowout. But staying with the Houston Cougars for just a second, Kelvin Sampson is a fiery coach. He's a big-time competitor. This team embodies really who he is. He said he kept telling his team, even when they were down 14 points, don't give up. We got to play our style of ball. If we could just get it close down the stretch when it matters most, we can win, and they did.
Yeah, I mean, Kelvin Sampson's an incredible coach, and you can tell just when you hear him speak or when you watch him speak or if you speak to him, you can kind of tell like he's just got a great character about him. He came out and corrected someone with the Gonzaga debate. He came out and corrected them, and he's like, hey, call them by their name, be right, and things like that, like little details like that of actually going out there and correcting people. I feel like that says a lot about someone's character, and just he's got a team that their tallest players are 6'8", and they're out there just going to war on the glass every single possession. You don't get that if you're not a good leader, if you're not a great coach, if you're not a great basketball coach with a team that was down big late in the game against who many thought was the runaway favorite for national championship. And honestly, I feel like Houston was kind of looked at as the black sheep of the group there, coming from the Big 12, playing their style of basketball. It's not sexy, it's not fun. And you went out there and you won when I think so many people counted you out. And that doesn't happen if you're not a great leader and a great coach.
It's interesting that how you describe Houston the black sheep. When I was talking to college basketball coaches from Jacksonville who were here in San Antonio with me and UNF, basketball coach Matthew Driscoll and Edward Waters, University head coach Cabral Huff, they both kept telling me something about this Houston team. I know Duke is the favorite, and they even said that they thought Duke would advance. Houston team that I feel like they've been overlooked, but surprise you, and they should.
Yeah, I think that this Houston team just everyone overlooked them. I feel like everybody overlooked them. Gambling wise, they were far and away the least likely one seed to actually have a chance here. Their style of play, they want to play gritty basketball defensively. They're going to be really slow offensively, and people can talk about how bad that is. It might not be the most entertaining style, but they're experienced, they're gritty, they're fundamentally sound. They shoot 40% from three on the year. They just don't shoot a lot of threes. They don't shoot a lot of shots to begin with. They are a bottom 15 team in the country in terms of possession or in terms of tempo. They're one of the slowest teams. They're going to be overlooked for many things, but I think that it's just a horrible flaw to overlook this team and think that they can't get things done. They're a fantastic basketball team. They're here for a reason, and as much as many people may look at this team and say, yeah, that's not my style, they're not very entertaining, they're a top 10 team of all time for a reason. They're very talented. They get it done in so many different ways there. They hammer on the offensive glass, they protect the ball. They're not a team that everybody's going to look at and say, oh, that's so fun, but they are damn good.
We're sure to have the stars in the house like we did on Saturday night. Again, on Monday night, we saw Carmelo Anthony. We saw Akeem the Dream Olajuwon from Phi Slama Jama back when Houston won a national championship. Let's talk about Monday's game. Gators, we know they want to get up. They want to be fast. They want to push the tempo. We know that this Houston team wants to play good defense, hit the timely threes. As we head into Monday night's game, what concerns you about this Houston team?
Let's see who you're repping to, whether it's South Carolina or UConn. You guys have the gear on. We're going to put you up on the big screen right now.
They were allowing an offensive rebounding percentage of just 25%. That has grown astronomically. It's in tournament play in general. It's up over 30% now in terms of offensive rebounding percentage allowed. And those offensive rebounds, they add up. They pile up. Those possessions, they add up, especially with a team like Houston, who they have no problem running the clock down, taking a shot, and if they miss it, get the offensive rebound, reset, kill more clock. You're looking at a potential of the potential of having 50 seconds where you don't have the ball offensively if you're Florida, and that adds up over time. If you get even 2 or just 3 of those possessions, that's minutes at a time of not getting the ball. So I think Houston's work on the offensive glass is something that if Florida doesn't key in on, I mean, that's just going to be a fatal flaw that they've had for a while. They just haven't been forced to pay for it yet.
And I think, one of the things that we've watched and we've seen time and time again with this Florida team is sometimes they go too fast. They turn the ball over unnecessarily. And, before you and I came on here, you were talking about that. You don't think that they'll be successful with doing what they've done so far, and that's get behind early, playing a little sloppy against this Houston team. They've got to come out the gate strong.
Yeah, they absolutely have to. You can't turn the ball over because Florida's going to have those possessions where they turn it over 3 times in a row or 3 out of 5 times, whatever it may be. They're going to turn the ball over, and they're going to do that to themselves, right? We saw it happen against Auburn on Saturday night of Walter Clayton Jr. stepping out of bounds, them just losing the ball, and then one pass that was just horrendous and got stolen by Alex Condon. They're going to do that to themselves. It's not about you making a fantastic defensive play, but this is a Houston team that will make those fantastic defensive plays. And so I look at, hey, you're already prone to making these errors. Now you've got a team that's actually going to force them. And that's not a recipe for success if you're the Florida Gators. You've got to play smarter. You've got to play better. You could play fast. You can try to play a little bit sloppy and hope that Houston gets sloppy, but that's not a recipe for success when you play a defense that's actually going to force you to turn the ball over.
You know, Brandon, maybe I'm drinking too much of the Gators Kool-Aid, but one thing I've learned about this team is that you can't count them out no matter the situation. And I just feel confident that Walter Clayton Jr., Will Richard, Elijah Martin, they're going to go in this ball game. They're going to do what they've done thus far in the tournament. That's ball.
Yeah, I think so too, if we're going to be honest about it. Look, I think that this Houston team deserves the utmost respect. I do think that they've earned every step of this, that they are one of the best teams in the country, that they are one of the best teams of all time on KenPom. But this Florida Gators team, they're playing really hot offensively. I do think that they'll push the pace, they'll get their shots up. And when we talk about Walter Clayton Jr., and I hate to make him the whole focal point, but he's been so much of this offense during the tournament specifically. But Auburn, they were bigger than Houston, faster than Houston, and not better defensively, but just they've got all the physical tools to slow down anybody they want. You can't just say, okay, we're going to get this mismatch and exploit it. They had everything they wanted, and Walter Clayton Jr. shot lights out. Walter Clayton Jr. was putting up 34 points. He was chucking threes contested. He was getting to the paint consistently. He was doing whatever he wanted. I don't know how you stop him if you're Houston, because, again, size-wise, athletically, you don't match up as well as Auburn did, but Florida still got it done against Auburn. Florida still did it offensively against Auburn. I don't know how you stop him other than hope he has an off night shooting.
Give it up for 24 points. That was amazing.
And before I let you go, Billy Donovan elected to the Naismith Memorial Basketball Hall of Fame. You know the work he did in Gainesville. Your thoughts on him being inducted?
He deserves it. He's my basketball GOAT. I realize that there's many people that would disagree and that it's not the popular opinion, and I'm not saying that he's literally the greatest of all time, but he's got a special place in my heart that I don't think will ever be surpassed. You know, when he got hired at Florida was the year that I was born, and so up until he left, he was the only Florida Gators basketball coach I knew. He was the only Florida Gators basketball coach that I had ever even really thought of. I saw elite basketball for much of the beginning of my life. It's great to be back here, by the way, to the top of the tower. But yeah, Billy Donovan absolutely deserves it. What he did for Florida, I mean, it can't even be overstated. The talent that he built, getting them to stay in school, it was unmatched, unheard of. I don't think you'll see it again where you see that many legit long-term NBA players staying in college for multiple years to just run it back and, you know, the Gator Boys stay hot out there. So I don't think that you see it any other way. I think Billy Donovan absolutely deserves all of his flowers, all his roses, all the inductions, all of the awards, everything he could possibly get. He deserves it.
Brandon Olson, host of Locked On Gators. I know you have it locked down on Monday night when the Gators take on the Houston Cougars for the national championship. The Gators will be in search of the third national title. Tip-off is set for 8:50. Brandon, enjoyed talking to you as always, and I'll be talking to you again soon. Thank you for joining us, my friend.
Thank you very much. Go Gators.
All right, again, Gators and Cougars will be going down here in San Antonio tomorrow night, and we'll have it covered for you. I'll see you guys tonight at 6.